and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for joining. Oh man, President Trump has made one of his biggest moves since his second term began, and it's pretty amazing. And it's a big move against the deep state. You know, Doge, with the great Elon Musk has been doing, has been a move against the administrative state, and of course all the corrupt officials around it. But what President Trump did yesterday was, I would say, his biggest move against the deep state, and I would think it's the beginning of something new, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. Now, you may have seen the story that Marco Rubio has gotten rid of 100 or more, at least 100, National Security Council members. Now, some of them were just told, they were all told to clean out their desks and leave, and they were given like just a few minutes to do it. The ones that weren't at work received email messages to set up a rendezvous to collect their things. Now, many of them were on loan from other government agencies. So the ones that were on loan from other government agencies were sent back to wherever they came from. Some of them have been actually laid off, but the National Security Council laid off 100 staffers yesterday, got rid of them. And there's a lot to talk about with that. So we'll get into it. If you're new, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Subscribe if you're new, and welcome. Yes, yes, yes. Very exciting stuff. So what the National Security Council is the deepest of the deep state. And if you remember, one of the biggest betrayals of President Trump in his first term was them listening in on his private phone calls with foreign leaders, leaking them out. In fact, Vindman, if you remember, was listening in on President Trump's phone call with Zelensky and took that recording and then turned him into the Inspector General. Gotta let that cool off a little bit more. Right? And the National Security Council, they're not just leakers, they're saboteurs. And my guess is that this is the beginning of more layoffs and firings and restructurings going on through the deep state, which is huge, 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 huge. Because that's really been the secret government all along. But you know, I thought it was an interesting thing is who did it, right? Marco Rubio. Now, Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State, but he's also doing double duty as the National Security Advisor. So as the National Security Advisor, I guess it's his direct authority to handle the National Security Council and handle these layoffs. But it's what I've been telling you guys the last couple of days on the program here, is that Trump continues to lean on Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio just didn't get rid of 100 guys at the National Security Council without Trump signing off on it, or maybe even ordering him to do it. Who knows? It might have been Trump's idea. Who knows whose idea it was? It was, but he didn't do it without the authority, the blessing, and the okay of President Trump. That's a pretty big thing to do, because it's the National Security Council. It's going to get a lot of press. People are going to be talking about it. So President Trump, signed off on it. I'd like to know how it came to be, though, like how it went down. But he's there again, leaning on Marco Rubio. And if you watch, Kaylee wants a shout out. Hey, Kaylee, how you doing? Kaylee, I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, D-A-W-E, but we'll just go with Kaylee. You can get your shout out. President Trump relies on Marco Rubio and leans on Marco Rubio for all the big things. All the big things. And that goes back to what I've been talking about lately, that I think Marco Rubio is Trump's pick, at least for now, to be the second MAGA president, not J.D. Vance. The vice president while they have no authority whatsoever, they can be given authority by the president at any time. So President Trump could have made him the national security advisor. He could have put him in charge of Doge temporarily, but he keeps doing that. Those are things he keeps leaning on Marco to do. So now that doesn't mean that Marco is going to be the nominee or the second MAGA president, because it's a long way off, and especially Trump runs in 2028. But a lot of things could happen. But right now, if President Trump were making his choice now for his successor, for a second MAGA president, I would have to say it's Marco Rubio, right? It's very obvious. And this laid off of 100 people from the National Security Council, and Marco Rubio did it. That's a big move. That's a big move. Marco Rubio is going to have a lot of heat on him from the deep state, from them for doing this. Yes, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to my channel. I uploaded a new podcast last night here on the channel, which you will not want to miss. It's got Hillary Clinton in the thumbnail. I covered a lot of good stuff. But I'm going to stick right now with, if he had to make the choice today on who to endorse for president, I think President Trump would endorse J.D. Vance. Do you guys agree with that, yes or no? That he keeps leaning on J.D., that he's Marco, I haven't had my coffee yet, that Marco Rubio is the apprentice? I think so. You know, and what Marco Rubio is doing is he's showing strong leadership over and over again. It's really amazing, you know, when you think about it. He's got an entire cabinet. Why does he keep going to Marco Rubio? Oh, I don't know. It's well, President Trump, what tasks has he given J.D. Vance? They did it, you know. Nothing against J.D. Vance, and I'm not criticizing J.D. Vance, but I haven't seen President Trump give any jobs to J.D. All right, you handle this, you handle that. Have you? I haven't. And that's what I'm measuring this by. And what he's giving Marco Rubio to do are big things. Yeah, well, so was Marco. Remember, he ran against him in 2015 in the first campaign. Marco Rubio ran against him, was talking about the small hands. That was a long time ago. No, Trump has no health problems, Terry. Please. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, it is a beautiful morning in Florida. Yeah, Hillary just won't go away, like fungus. Oh, I like J.D. Vance. I do. A vice president, they have zero authority, very little responsibilities, but presidents can give them things to do. Right? And he hasn't given JD anything to do. And President Trump did take a jab at JD in one of the White House meetings when the Irish, does Ireland have a president or vice president? I can't remember. When the Irish leader was in the Oval Office, he made fun of JD's green shamrock socks. I was like a little surprised at that. Oh, Lily said it before I said it. The socks, yes. Yeah. No, I got nothing against JD. I know, I like JD Vance a lot. Don't take this as criticism of JD. But when there's extra responsibility, he keeps giving it to Marco Rubio. You know? I like J.D. Vance. I watched the video of him with the Pope. It was great. DeSantis is, my governor. One of his biggest campaign promises, DeSantis, he did not come through with. DeSantis promised that we would have open carry in Florida before he left office. And it was up for a vote, and they just passed concealed carry without a permit. Like, I could stand here and carry my gun right now, as long as it's concealed. Which I've started on occasion. I don't talk about when I was at the radio station this week a couple times, I had my gun concealed. You guys just didn't know it. But that was a big one, because I was really looking forward to having open carry in Florida instead of concealed. The reason is that because of our great weather, the clothing doesn't really lend itself to concealing, right? It's hard to conceal in Florida unless you wear too much clothing. It's hot. It's in the 90s these days. He didn't come through on that, DeSantis. Plus, he betrayed Trump. He's a liar. You can never trust Ron DeSantis. He really screwed up Ron DeSantis. He really did. He might have been the Attorney General. He would have, if he did not betray Trump, he would be in the cabinet right now. And a lot of people may say, well, he's the governor. Yeah, well, for another year and a half, then he's term limited out. Dave Ford lover just subscribed. I don't know who Dave Ford is, but the Dave Ford lover just subscribed. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, another thing is, so, listen, I like JD. Do not take it as any criticism of JD, but when you keep looking, this is a big story. Marco Rubio terminating, laying off 100 National Security Council members because he's going to have the wrath of the deep state over him. And that won't go away. That's a pretty big move. And he did it. Thoughts on Elon Musk? I love Elon Musk, don't you? I mean, why would you not love Elon Musk? I'm surprised he hasn't launched a rocket. Last Saturday morning, I was up around this time, and boom, a rocket went up right here. This is due north, went up right here. It was amazing. Now, I was talking yesterday about something, and I've gotten a lot of feedback about this, in agreement with me. That President Trump may be putting Judge Janine on standby to be the second Attorney General of his second term. Yeah, the moon, and someone told me the other day that's Venus. The moon and Venus. That's due east, over the ocean, over the beach. The beach is right there. In Florida, you can always tell your directions if you can remember if you know where the beach is, due east. North, south, west, the beach, east. But I was so impressed with Judge Janine in that. I played the press conference of hers. Judge Janine, if you don't know, from Fox News. She's now the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. And this American Islamic terrorist, they killed the two Israelis in Washington this week. Judge Janine is the United States Attorney that's prosecuting that case. And she had a press conference the other day. I was so impressed with that press conference. I really was. And I'll tell you, she had a video she put online about the water cooler, and I didn't really... And I understood. Did any of you see the Judge Janine water cooler video at the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C.? And I understood her point, and her point made sense. But I thought the video was a little trivial for her, her position, And then she had that press conference, and I was like, holy smokes, she is a badass, Judge Janine. And, a lot of times, I'd see Judge Janine on the 5, and it's there's 5 of them, so she's over there at the end of the desk, If it was The View, she would sit where Whoopi would sit. And, you know, I agreed with her what she said. I watched her show, and I always liked Judge Janine. But sometimes, you know, I thought she might just be kind of like, okay, I'm semi-retired now. But she's not. She was a badass. I wish she was 20 or 30 years younger. Trump would put her on the Supreme Court. And yeah, she's very smart, Judge Janine, but she was what you want. You know, and she was a badass in that press conference. She laid it down. And so I was talking yesterday, asking people if you think that Judge Janine may be the second Attorney General in this second term, the next Attorney General. And I got a lot of feedback, and almost all of it, I would say 99% of it, was yes, they like that idea, and it's very possible. People are really disappointed in Pam Bondi. And I was, I can't remember who I saw talking about this yesterday. It might have been, I can't remember, it might have been Mark Halperin. I can't remember. I saw someone yesterday on X talking about this. I can't remember who it was. And they said that, you know, Pam Bondi and Battelle and Bongino, they're arresting the regular criminals the FBI would already arrest, and that's good, but they're not going after any of these lawfare people. And people are really, have no more patience for it. And I'm one of them. It's been enough time. And when I saw Judge Janine in her press conference over this terrorist the other day, if Judge, you know, and a lot of you may have seen that video of that press conference. I played it yesterday on the stream. Now let me ask you this, yes or no? If Judge Janine was the Attorney General, would Comey have been arrested for what he did last week? And would any of these lawfare people have been arrested? I think so. I think lawfare people and Comey would have been arrested if Judge Janine was the Attorney General. It's not a deep space conspiracy. I think you mean deep state. Unless there's something going on in deep space that I don't know about. I think so. What is it? Yeah. She would have made arrest already. I absolutely believe it. There's a group of joggers over here. Oh my goodness. I could not imagine getting up at 5:30 in the morning. It's coming up on 6 and jogging on Saturday. Forget that. Trump needs no defense. We're not defending Trump. We don't need to defend Trump. She's, you know, she's like, she's a Lady Tom Homan, Judge Janine. That's what that's what you want in these positions. You know, attorney generals, U.S. attorneys, border czars, they're like cops. You want a badass cop. 70, I know. She's 73, yeah, but she's, I hope I have that kind of energy at 73. She's a badass, Judge Janine. I wouldn't mess around with her. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe. Oh, it's a great weather today. I have to take my wife's car to the dealership this morning to get the oil changed. Last time, you know, with our, this is a new car, but with this dealership, when you buy a car, you get free oil changes for like 3 years. Last time I went, they made me wait 3 hours for that free oil change. I was so freaking pissed. So I'm going to talk about that right at the beginning before I leave. Oh, Judge Janine does not mess around. I mean, she was, you know, the U.S. attorney for a district like Judge Janine or the attorney general, they're managers. They're the top cops, but they're also managers of the people underneath them. And that badass attitude of Judge Janine trickles down. I mean, if you look behind Judge Janine, she had that left-wing, woke, racist mayor and her DEI police chief. They look terrified. The mayor and the police chief of D.C. hate Trump, hate Republicans, DEI, racist, critical race theorists, and they were cowering down to Judge Janine. She's such an impressive personality. DEI didn't earn it. That's right. That's right. So I think she's great. Gavin Newsom, he's just a Nepo baby. That's it. Just a Nepo baby. Oh, man. I slept in today later than I usually do on the weekends, which was very nice. Gavin Newsom. I don't think anyone likes Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom probably new scum. Doesn't even like himself. I love that President Trump calls him new scum still. Make Britain great again. Good luck with that. I mean, Britain has fallen. Welcome. Now, guys, don't forget, if you'd like to support my content, you can, of course, go to mypillow.com and use my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. And you can use my promo code for all the great specials there. Check out that new energy drink. Huge discount on the new energy drink. Oh, man, yesterday afternoon, I was a little tired because I'd been up like 12, 14 hours. And if you watched my podcast last night, I was like, oh, man, I got the podcast coming up. And I was a little tired. And my wife said, hey, grab one of those Mike Lindell My Pillow energy drinks. And I did. Did you see the podcast last night? Did I seem energetic? Man, oh, man. It's because of the Mike Lindell energy drink. Huge discount on that, and they taste great too. So go to mypillow.com, use my promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout. Yeah, that is an advertisement, Tony. Absolutely. But it's also a personal endorsement because those energy drinks are great. I got to order more. Gavin Newsom looks like a villain in Lazy Town. Oh, my goodness. I used to watch Lazy Town with my daughter. Well, thank you for ordering the new sheets. That's awesome. Great. Lazy Town. Oh, my gosh. Well, I'll tell you, though, things are going perfect. Now, last night on my, you could watch this on the podcast, because I'm not going to go through it now, but there's a, I went into some detail about, on the big, beautiful bill, which passed the House, of course, about the Social Security taxes, right? President Trump said no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and what's going on with the Social Security and the taxes in the big, beautiful bill. And on last night's podcast, I break all that down. So check out the podcast, and you can see the breakdown. It's a little complex, but it's interesting. Now, these liberals don't want to hear it, but Trump did what he promised, as usual. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've done an upgrade on my podcast. You know, I've been hosting my podcast for, I don't know, 12 years plus. And last week, for YouTube, I upgraded it. It's a video podcast now. So you get the same video format in my studio. And the audio version's still available on all the podcast platforms, but my podcast here on my YouTube channel is in video format now. So make sure you check it out. The Brian Craig Show podcast on all podcast platforms. But on YouTube, you get the video version of it. And all the podcasts this week were under the new format. The most recent one's the one with Hillary in the thumbnail. Well, thank you, Yeti. I appreciate that. Exactly. Exactly. You know, one thing I talked about, um, that, you know, all these things I've talked about this week have, I think are coming true. I mean, things are really moving fast. Well, they got to end the war in Ukraine. I mean, you know, they're laying